Lost, help me.
What is it now, Thumby?
There is a monster under my bed. It's spooky.
You spend your entire day with me, and I am literally fueled by the flame of an eldritch god that wants nothing more than to burn away all of existence.
Yes, but you are my friend.
Debatable.
Just check under the bed.
Fine. What could possibly be so bad that you... I think we should move. Hello everyone, I'm Lost, and I will rank each boss according to how much fun I think murdering the Night Lord was. Of course, there is the slight issue that the fun factor can vary dramatically depending on which character class you prefer, and your team cohesiveness, or lack thereof. Remember, this is just my opinion, but if you disagree, you are wrong and must stand in the corner. Here are the positives. The music is nice, and the moth is fluffy. I almost don't mind the grab attack that infects me with a parasite, because it means I get to rub that belly, if only for a moment. But that's where the good stuff ends, and where the ass backwards begins. The Sentient Pest is the kind of boss that will induce a seizure with its particle effects. You better pray that your PC melts before you are inflicted with the IRL epilepsy debuff. It's also likely to blast your face off with magic from off-screen, if you're playing solo, or if your teammates are the human equivalent to Temu products. It's a frustrating experience to finally think you have mastered the moveset of the off-brand Scorpion, only for a magical homing missile to combo you into a claw attack, reducing your HP to 4. It's one of those bosses where you can really feel that the game was made for multiple people, and to be fair, when you do have a semi-competent team, the experience is not bad. Especially when you are accompanied by an archer or a boob wizard. But solo? Sometimes it really feels like you are Richard Gearing yourself with a porcupine. Yeah, you might have to Google that reference. The attacks are also so unspectacular. It's hard to really explain, but at no point did I ever go, oh, that's cool, which has been the case with most of the other bosses on this list. I like the orbital laser, and the parasite you get when poisoned is a neat idea. Having a friend surgically remove a life-draining flesh bud with his katana is funny. But it's not enough to elevate this fight beyond the bottom of this list. The Pest also has a patented Elden Ring extended multi-hit boss scream whenever it enters its second phase, which I swear is one of the most annoying additions to any boss fight ever. Just leave it to one shockwave and let me continue to play the game, FromSoft. And if that wasn't bad enough, the charge he does afterwards requires you to perfectly dodge 25 magical missiles, the orbital laser, the giant fuck-off bug trying to squish you into meat paste, and the ground rocks it somehow sucks out of the sand at the end. Look, you are going to take damage. Getting close in for an attack is also perilous, as the large frame of the bug can easily overwhelm your camera if you dodge to the wrong side. This is a fight made much more enjoyable if you are an archer, or maybe a jump attack build that does hit and run damage. Look, any build really where you aren't metaphorically strangled by the game's camera. The Sentient Pest is the only boss I don't particularly enjoy. In fact, I would go so far as to say I dislike it. Tricephilos is the most basic beginner boss that ever began. He's a basic 3-headed doggo covered in the most basic video game element, fire. Nightreign is a game made with teams of 3 in mind, and Trice has the ability to split himself into 3 smaller poppers. It just makes sense. Doesn't make him difficult though, since when he splits, his attention spans tends to shorten to that of a goldfish 5 years into meth addiction. But that's fine. I'd rather have that than being mauled to death by a doggo charging me off-screen. It's also likely that our doggo is some kind of devil worshipper, as he is extremely weak to holy, so thump him with your Bibles and strangle him with the rosary. Trice is a tutorial boss, and he's a pretty good one. Few FromSoft bosses have made a worse first impression on me than Orugre. In my earliest fight against the Space Placenta, my boys and I ran an all-melee team comp, and after entering the boss fight, we proceeded to miss 98% of our attacks before having our very existence erased by a nuke. Not a great experience, but that was more of a knowledge check than anything else. The next time we fought him, we went triple archer, and Murray, Fathom of the Void, went down faster than a $10 prostitute. Since then, I have gained a matter of appreciation for the ethereal water balloon. Yes, he is still undoubtedly best fought with a bow. Even the little yellow boy he sends after you, which is supposed to give melee characters a chance to damage him, is still best killed with the archer. But even so, as a melee guy, I don't know if I just got better at predicting his movements, or if the latest patch made him more stationary and breathable, but I feel like the boss fight just clicks now. For my money, Orugre is the easiest of all of the bosses. Most of his attacks are simple to dodge. Sure, you will get water splashed in your face every now and then because the translucent nature of his attacks makes it hard to judge at times. But it's only really dangerous if you get comboed by one of the water tentacles. There are only two big moves in his arsenal, one where he starts telling you about his rock collection to the point where you fall into a damage-inflicting sleep, and another where he drops a droplet nuke on you. That last one does sound rather dramatic, but it's easily diffused by hitting it repeatedly with arrows, and as a bonus, destroying the droplet will do serious damage to him, likely putting him on his back where he turns into the perfect punching bag. This boss is a vibe. It jumps up in the air, opens its jaw 180 degrees, and does a lightning-infused spin on landing while aiming to crush you. If this boss was a person, it would be Frank Reynolds from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He's brimming with that chaotic energy. And yeah, that is a good way of describing the fight as well. Adele throws himself at you with reckless abandon, usually resulting in him face-planting, sending shockwaves of dirt and purple lightning everywhere. It's quite frankly spectacular. Admittedly, fighting him with a melee character can become frustrating due to his erratic movement. You will be spending a double-digit percentage of the fight slashing at his taint. But I really like his weakness: poison. Just like that one time in 2016 when I ate an avocado, if you poison him, Adele instantly pukes up his last 5 meals. A quick side note here. So far, the bosses we have ranked on this list have been ugh to pretty good. The next 4 I consider to be great to fantastic. Let's get this out of the way immediately. Yes, it's a dragon fight, which does mean that the boss will fly around the arena for 3 to 5 business days before you get the opportunity to attack. That would have been annoying to me if it wasn't for the fact that all of the dragon's attacks are ocular orgasms. Calling this fight majestic isn't nearly enough. This is Majestic Premium. This is you enjoying the free version of Majestic so much you made a conscious decision of upgrading to the paid version of Majestic. Seeing Caliggo fly towards you with her wings spread, bombarding you with ice crystals, makes me feel things. On a gameplay level, I really appreciate that this boss keeps its head readily available for melee characters. While you do still spend a fair amount of time trying to kneecap the animal or crushing its toes, it's nice to have the opportunity to give the dragon a black eye every now and then. She does have the annoying issue of its minty fresh breath attacks being weird to dodge at times, an issue I think most of the fights in Nightreign suffer from. It would be nothing but a boon if FromSoft made the hitboxes of the boss's attacks easier to identify. Still, it's a pretty minor problem in the case of Caliggo. Her big signature move of freezing the sky will demand that you push those little legs of yours to the limit. But if you are part of the headphone master race and can therefore identify where Caliggo is hiding in the mist while she's doing the attack, you can get a free couple of hits in. Also, this might just be the best boss theme FromSoft has ever created. As great as I think most of Nightrein's bosses are, they don't really get a lot of development. Elden Ring had environmental storytelling and item descriptions to flesh out their bosses. What does Nightreign have? That is a legitimate question, by the way, since I skipped through all of the dialogue of every quest and remembrance. Maybe there was some boss info there somewhere, I have no idea. Look, there are raids from some of the bosses during runs, which helps add flavor to them. But the only guy that gets any real personality development is Libra, Creature of the Night. His gimmick of making a deal with you makes him hands down the most interesting boss in the game. Do you want to roll the die on him giving you a powerful weapon in return for a health flask? Or maybe spend 10k runes on a symbol of avarice, hoping that you can curb stomp enough mobs to get a return on your investment. This stuff really allows you to build a relationship with Libra that doesn't just involve increasing each other's medical insurance rates. The fight itself is difficult. Libra can summon glowing spikes from the ground, throw fireballs of concentrated mental illness, and if all else fails, he'll simply bonk you. There are a lot of interesting mechanics here. There is a hulking up sequence where you need to destroy several floating crests before Libra manages to cover himself in gold paint and glitter, something that gives him the confidence to fight 5 times as hard. I can't even blame him, really. He looks fabulous. Destroying these crests can be a hassle if you don't have any ranged options, since some of these crests spawn so high up in the air that it would give Super Mario issues. But alternatively, if you play as the Raider, you can interrupt him with a powered-up skill while the boss meditates on whatever rave he's going to after the fight is done. Libra is hands down the boss that gave me the most amounts of non-consensual enemas, but I can't help but love him. He's difficult, interesting, and he looks like a goat, which is my favorite animal. If we just go by technical boss design, then the Darkdrift Knight would win a medal for being the best boy. Folore has a lot of movement, and will bully you with the intensity of a child whose parents just got divorced and blamed him for it. The good news is that all of his attacks are perfectly telegraphed. During the first few attempts, you may feel like you have inserted your genitals into a hydraulic press with how much pressure he can exert. But once you start to understand his moves, you will dance around his blows with greater precision than my dad avoiding my hugs. Even when he enters his second phase where he grows an arm and starts squirting void pus everywhere, I still feel like it's my fault if it hits me in the face. I might be in an abusive relationship with this boss, but that's okay. I can change him. I have nothing else to add. Folore is technically perfect. When the boss you're fighting attacks you by tearing a rift in reality, flooding the arena with interdimensional energies, you know you're in for an epic time. The Night Aspect fight is not as clean as Folore and way easier than Goatboy Libra, but this is a case where the cinematic and gameplay elements come together to create something truly special. He begins the fight as a hollowed out husk with the intimidation factor of a guy named Kyle. But once that second phase starts and the glow from the Moonlight Sword hits my eyes, I squeal. Every time. The fight itself is pretty damn good, if not a little easy. Yes, Hellstore, Lord of Night, does have those classic Elden Ring attack strings with delayed slashes meant to nail you on the very first frame after your roll loses its invincibility. But if you come in with a plan or a team fully kitted out with weapons dipped in angel piss, you will destroy him. The Bubble Hammer is a particularly useful and funny weapon in this situation. This boss is the main reason I want a boss rush mode, because despite me destroying him during several attempts, I don't quite feel like I have mastered him. I just overpowered him before he overpowered me. In the end, the final boss of Nightreign is one of the best FromSoft has ever made. Up there with the likes of Artorias and Gale. What do you guys think? Where does the Night Lord land in your top 10 bosses list? Thank you for watching, everyone. Please subscribe, because I want to be rich and famous. If you want more Lost, then consider my Patreon. It's not necessary, because we love you either way, but I love you 10% more if you give me money. I'll see you all next video. Kisses.